With a name like Blood, and the synopsis talking about somebody getting bitten in a mysterious infection, I wasn't quite sure what the movie was going to do with that idea. It definitely isn't what I imagined. For the better. Very quickly, if you enjoy the cut of my jib, consider hitting subscribe. Not only will it keep you up to date with these movies to add to your watch list, but you're going to make my day. But that being said, let's get on with this one. Blood. So as I said, I kind of had an idea of where Blood was going to go. Well, at least I kind of thought it might have been one of two things, and I'm very happy to say I was wrong on both fronts. That being said, I'll come on to those in a minute, and you'll see why. So in this movie, we're following like a separated family. The main focus is on the mother and the two kids. You know, you've got Jess, Owen, and Tyler. Jess is a nurse, and she's an ex-addict, so they're moving into their new home, whereas the ex-husband, Patrick, he is clearly fighting custody battles to get the kids. You get snippets to what's happened in the past, and you can fully understand his position and why he wants custody. The movie does set quite a bit of groundwork. It's not that it's paced badly or a slow start to it. The idea that somebody is bitten and then they get mysterious illness, that doesn't take place right away. You know, we take a little bit to get into that, just to flesh out these characters and their relationships. Basically, the beautiful dog of this household runs off one day. He starts being a little bit suspicious in a few different scenes, just looking out into the distance and barking at nothing, that sort of dog behaviour. But then he just up and fucks off one day, and then comes back. So of course the children, happy as ever to have their dog home, are very excited by this. Run up, big cuddles all around. The dog bites Owen. The dog was not as happy as they were to be back, put it that way. And from here, Owen now just has this mysterious illness. He's in hospital and they just cannot work out what exactly is wrong with him. Given the movie's title, you can probably understand it's going to be blood related in some way. And this is where I veer into what I thought the movie was going to be. Without a doubt, I thought that Owen was now going to either turn into a werewolf or a vampire. I know the vampire is more the blood thing, but the fact a dog bit him, that had a werewolf in my head, you never know with some of these movies I watch. It turns out, neither. He does drink blood, but in no way does he turn into a bat and just fuck off, or turn into a werewolf at night. That is the plot of the movie, and then it's just the family dealing with this illness. You know, how can they help Owen go through all this? Where this movie really goes up a peg is the fact that read between the lines and you can see what the movie is really going for, and it's a whole movie about addiction. So with the mum and dad both have the best interests at heart for the kids, Jess is doing everything she can to not only look after him but make sure that he's okay because of these custody battles. Because if Patrick gets a whiff that Jess is not treating the kids correctly or that they're not fully healthy because of her, he can get full custody and then she does not have a leg to stand on. So she's battling with both making sure her son is okay with an illness nobody understands and also making sure that she can keep her son throughout all this. One thing that the movie does with that aspect really well is that they do not make Patrick out to be an arsehole. He is just a dad concerned for his kids and he's wanting custody. And at no point do you really see him being a bad guy in this scenario. It is fully understandable at each turn in the movie why he gets angry, why he starts going for full custody a little bit harder. You can't blame him. And the movie doesn't expect you to blame him, and that is what I really did appreciate. So with the illness and with the title of the movie, you can probably guess he just keeps wanting to drink blood. It seems to be the only thing that is helping him get through this illness. Why? The logistics of it are never fully explained, which is good, because it would be very difficult to try and explain this movie. But Jess being a nurse, you know, starts off that she has access to blood, so she can get that home for him, and she tries to just have a little bit at a time, because it is a finite source. She can't just keep stealing from the hospital, because, well, they tighten security for one thing, but also she wants to help him as well as try and treat him. So it's that balancing act of, do you keep craving his urges, or do you also try and find a solution at the other end? That is where it leads into the clear messaging for addiction. She never relapses in the movie, but given her attitude towards Owen and Owen's clear bloodthirst that he's got, it is subtle enough that it's not hitting you over the head with that message idea. But see, when you really paint the picture in those two thoughts, you know, just the standard plot that you're literally watching, and also thinking of that angle throughout the whole movie, it takes it up a peg, I can't lie. Now with the poster and the plot and everything, you might imagine this to just be like a full-on horror. It really isn't. So if you are going into this expecting just horror and nothing but, you're going to be disappointed. What you have here instead, now it is gory and it does have kind of horror elements to it, but it is more of like a character movie. Whilst Owen is the one dealing with it, you also have Jess dealing with her previous life of addiction and now feeding into someone else's addiction. It was clearly a tough balance for them to hit, and I think they really knocked it out of the park in this one. The performances were all actually really good in here. Now, kid actors I know are very hit and miss, but I think the calibre of kid actors has just gotten a lot better, and Owen and Tyler are great examples of that. Tyler is just a very concerned sister, understandably so. Her brother is drinking blood now, and Owen is addicted to blood. But the way he is acting as though it is just like a drug addiction for anybody else. So I was actually really impressed with Owen here. Well, the mum and dad were fantastic as well, because she is just doing that juggling act of trying to deal with him and deal with her own past, whereas Patrick is the concerned dad. Now, he's not necessarily looking for problems at any point. And again, that feeds into the fact that they're not painting him out to be a bad guy. You know, he's not trying to trip Jess up just to get full custody. He is letting them live their life. Jess has them when she has them, but he's also very concerned and starts questioning things, you know, be it marks on their bodies or whatever it could be. So seeing both sides of the coin, I think, was definitely the way to go in here. So look, with all that being said, what would I say about blood? If you're looking for a movie about werewolves and vampires, you're going to be disappointed because this movie has neither. However, if you're wanting a movie that, whilst horror is definitely there, it is more of a look at addiction and character, make time for this movie. The movie does tick along very well, and the main thing that is driving it is Jess's options at what she can do to treat Owen. As I said, at first she can just take blood from the hospital, but then she might have to find her own ways to feed his urges. I'm not going to say any more than that, but there's a few options floating around and she delves into a few of them. The movie doesn't ever fully explain what the illness is, you know, how it affects him on like a biological level, or if it is some kind of curse. And it doesn't need to, because the movie is not trying to set that up. The movie, as I said, is holding a mirror up to the mother of the movie more than Owen having this infection. So for that, I'm glad they've not asked the questions that it didn't need to answer, because then it would have got far too convoluted. This is just a couple of parents trying to take care of their kids. So look, have you seen Blood? Do we agree or disagree? Please do let me know. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. It just keeps you up to date with these latest movies I'm reviewing to maybe add on to your watch list, and you're going to make my day. But with all that now said, as always, thank you so much for watching.